Hi. Welcome back to Sabbath School on the Go. Your daily video reading of the adult Sabbath School lessons. The date is January 1st, 2019. And the title for today's lesson is The Symbolic Language of Revelation. We will read these three Bible texts: Revelation 13:1, Daniel 7, 1-3, and Ezekiel 1, 1-14. In order to get the answer to the following question: what is the one thing that all these visions have in common? We will read from the King James Version. Reading Revelation 13 verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. Now reading Daniel 7. Verses 1-3. In the first year of Belshazzar king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream, and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and, behold, the 4 winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. 3 and 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. Finally reading Ezekiel 1 verses 1-14. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Chebar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiakim's captivity, the word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chebar, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him. And I looked, and, behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures. And this was their appearance: they had the likeness of a man. And every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings. And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. And they had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined one to another, they turned not when they went every one straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man, and the face of a lion, on the right side, and they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side, they 4 also had the face of an eagle. Thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward, 2 wings of every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies. And they went every one straight forward, whither the Spirit was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Be prepared to discuss your answer in Sabbath school next Sabbath. Now let us continue with the lesson. Again, looking at Revelation 1 verse 1. Revelation 1:1 further states, and he sent and signified it by his angel to his servant John, New King James Version, emphasis added. Here we find a very important word in the book. The word signified is a translation of the Greek word semaiino, meaning to show by symbolic signs. This word is used in the Greek translation of the Old Testament, the Septuagint, in which Daniel explained to King Nebuchadnezzar that, by the statue made of gold, silver, bronze, and iron, God signifies to the king what will take place in the future. Daniel 2 verse 45. By employing the same word, John tells us that the scenes and events of Revelation were shown to him in vision and symbolic presentations. Guided by the Holy Spirit, John faithfully recorded these symbolic presentations as he had seen them in the visions in Revelation 1:2. Thus, for the most part, the language used to describe Revelation's prophecies must not be interpreted literally. As a rule, the reading of the Bible, in general, presupposes a literal understanding of the text, unless the text points to intended symbolism. But when we read Revelation, unless the text points to a literal meaning, we need to interpret it symbolically. While the scenes and events predicted are real, they usually were expressed in symbolic language. Keeping in mind the largely symbolic character of Revelation will safeguard us against distorting the prophetic message. In trying to determine the meaning of the symbols used in the book, we must be careful not to impose on the text a meaning that comes out of human imagination or the current meanings of those symbols in our culture. Instead, we must go to the Bible and to the symbols found in its pages in order to understand the symbols in the book of Revelation. In fact, in trying to unlock the meaning of those symbols in Revelation, we must remember that most of them were drawn from the Old Testament. By portraying the future in the language of the past, God wanted to impress upon our minds that His acts of salvation in the future will be very much like His acts of salvation in the past. What He did for His people in the past, He will do for them again in the future. In endeavoring to decode the symbols and images of Revelation, we must start by paying attention to the Old Testament. This is Witness Glenn. Have a blessed day. And please remember to like and share.